Hey everybody, Dave here. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another episode where we dive into the world of Shadows of Brimstone, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Derelict Ship Other World. It's an expansion. You're going to need one of the core sets, either the Cities of Ancients or Swamps of Death or the Forbidden Fortress, in order to be able to play with this. But this particular Other World is basically like an abandoned ship, or we think is abandoned, hurtling through space. Some bad things have happened on there, and so as the story unfolds, our heroes are going to end up showing up here and exploring it and having an adventure in here to see what happens. So what I'm going to do in this particular episode, I'm going to talk about what comes in this other world. And then, as usual, I'll talk about some of the things that make it stand out, and then also how to flesh out this other world. So let's get started. So the first thing is we have our entrance tile down here where the players are going to start off with. Now these tiles are all double-sided, and so they have on one side is the derelict ship. The other side is going to be things that are going to be for the mine. And so there are 18 tiles that come with this particular other world. There's connecting pieces, and then there's also going to be the unique rooms and stuff like that. And there are going to be 3 enemy types that come with this particular other world. We have these turrets, we have Necronauts, and we have beacon drones. We'll talk about them in a little bit. And there's also going to be a number of cards that come with. I have them already sorted out. So we have our reference cards. We are also going to have our map decks. We have cards for the mines, the derelict ship. We also have some darkness cards that are specifically themed around the derelict ship that you'll be able to shuffle in. We have our otherworld threat cards. And then, of course, we have our encounter and artifact decks for both the derelict ship and the mine. So we'll just shuffle those into their respective decks here for the mine stuff. There's really only 3 mine artifacts, and then there's a handful of mine encounters. Obviously, there's more for the derelict ship. Now, a couple things that make this unique, and we'll take a look at this ship. First of all, it's very, very much space themed. So I'm going to zoom in. We'll take a look at some of these tiles. So this particular one looks like could be like a sleeping chamber or something like that, where you can see the outline of figures inside these pods. But when we look at some of the other rooms, you can see that things have terribly gone wrong in here. With this particular space here, we've got some bad stuff that looks like it's happened up here. And as we move through the other rooms, you can see that things are broken and destroyed. And then we have other rooms that look like a ship's bridge. We also have like a biodome and things like a dock, or basically like something where we can just like an airlock where we can shoot things out into space. So we have very much seems like it's inspired by some of our favorite sci-fi movies, for example, Alien, and there's other ones. But if you can just imagine like hurtling through space, this ship, we don't know what's in there. We could think it's unoccupied, but it's for our heroes to explore. Now, if we look into the other world card itself, I'm going to zoom in on it so we can take a look. And so, interstellar horror. And so usually when we do our roll back the darkness rolls, now we have to deal with whatever happens. But in addition to this now, is whenever they fail it, the characters farthest from the lantern, and even if they're tied, will immediately hear the voices in the dark, where they take those horror hits. Now, typically that doesn't happen in a normal setting unless the characters are more than 3 spaces away from the lantern. So that takes that particular rule and twists it, and now it doesn't matter but whoever is the furthest away. And if there's a tie, they both will take those. They will hear the voices. And then the other thing is, because this ship is essentially unexplored, whenever we peek through a doorway, looking to explore, put out new map tiles, or whenever we scavenge, we can draw a loot card on the roll of 5 or 6. So there's lots of things that can be discovered in this particular ship. So if you like to scavenge and look for things, this is going to be an other world that's going to be of interest to you. Some other neat things that are unique to this particular other world are, we have these teleportation portals that will be on the board, that will allow players to immediately transport from one spot to the next on the ship. We have some consoles that will come on the board. These are like computers that will essentially allow the characters to interact with parts of the map. And we have these broken grates that will come out, and we look at this. And these are like spawning points for some of the monsters. So the heroes are going to have to work together to seal these up to stop the monsters from being able to come out. So they'll show up on the board. We have this neat thing called the Void Vortex, and this comes from like this void grenade, and it's essentially like a black hole that opens up into the void and will pull enemies and things close to it into it. So something kind of useful, something kind of fun to mess with. So we have this Void Vortex. It's double-sided. So, and then another thing, we have barriers in this particular map. So these thick white lines, like a railing, essentially this is like 2 different elevations. So this is not really adjacent to this, but there's stairs that go down. So players can't move through these, or enemies for that matter, unless they have the ability to move through other models. So typically things that can climb or can fly, they can go through these things. So that's something that's unique to these particular tiles. So things that you can look forward to in this particular map. So this gives it a little bit more dimension, like we're up higher, then we're going down into a lower portion of this ship. So just something for that you should be aware of. Now, one of the other things that is useful with this particular expansion, and I think I also mentioned in the Caverns of Cinder, it came with these poker chips that you could use to track XP. And I have a whole bag of these. It comes with coin tokens, like gold, to keep track of our gold as we find things. So there's a whole slew of these. I just have them punched up and put in the Ziploc bag. But you're going to get these with the Derelict ship. So good reason to own the Derelict ship is for the gold tokens, as well as the neat type of encounters that you're going to have. Now, the 3 enemy types that come in the Derelict ship are we'll start off with the Necronauts, which are like these undead astronauts. And here's their sheet. Briefly, they're just undead. They're going to, they can't take more than a certain number of hits. And in addition to this, for every hit done by a Necronaut, the hero also takes a horror hit. So they're going to hit you basically with both your health and your sanity, essentially. Here's what the models look like. Let me see if I can get this a little bit closer here. So I think that there's pretty good detail on the sculpts. They weren't too difficult to assemble. And if I recall here, this little front part, if you want to paint the faces before you put the front on, it'll make it a lot easier for you. I don't know if I'll paint these or what I'm going to do, but I probably should clean these up a little bit. I don't put a whole lot of super lot of effort into these models. I just use them. But for those of you who like to paint and want to have that extra detail, there's a little bit of cleaning up that has to be done. But anyways, you get 6 of those. We also have these auto turrets that show up, and they just get in the way, and they can't move, but they can shoot you. They've got a pretty far range, and they do a pretty good amount of damage. And then if you're near them, when they explode, you're going to take wounds, ignoring defense. So basically shrapnel when you blow up one of these things. And I have one here. Comes with 3 of them. So something that looks impending if you see that down a hallway or something like that. And then the last ones we have are these beacon drones, and beacon stands for this bioelectrical artificial construct on board for navigation. Although if you look at them, they don't necessarily look like they're used for navigation when I grab some of the models, because I don't know how you use a blade for navigation, and I'm not really sure what you're using a needle for. But anyways, you have 3 of these. And they have different configurations of arms that you could put on there. I have another one that has a couple of claws on there, or a couple of blades. And if you look at these, they have a ball and socket joint. So when you put them in there, you can pose these in different ways. So you can make each one of them look unique and have their arms, being out a little bit more. So here we have the one. It's got a couple of blades in his hands. For his arms, I should say. So those are the enemies that come with the game. These ones here, when you destroy one of those beacon drones, all heroes in the derelict ship are going to take damage. And then also at the end of their move, all adjacent heroes are going to take sanity damage. 1 hit for each sanity damage they currently have. So these things they're a little bit tough to deal with, but it's also going to make it a lot of fun and very, very thematic. Also, there are a couple of enemies that you can use from your core sets. You can use your the Night Terrors are Space Terrors, and you have the Stranglers are considered Dark Stranglers. If you don't have those models to use, they do give you tokens. Here's your Space Terrors and your Dark Stranglers. There's additional other tokens that you can use in lieu of the models if you'd like. So we have those are the enemy types that come in the game. So that's pretty much what you're going to have when you open up the Derelict Ship Other World. Of course, you're going to have your adventure book, and it has six adventures in here, all the way up to this reactor breach. There's different ones. Some of them take place in the mines. We have one that's a fixed map that is basically only on the ship. Explains everything a little bit more in detail that I showed you with the in the beginning with the overview of stuff. And then in the back we have, in case you don't have the Stranglers or the Night Terrors, it has their enemy sheets right there. And then on the back we have our Other World depth event chart for when we roll doubles. So we have those. That's all the stuff that comes in here. Now there are some things to flesh this out to give you a little bit more variety. The first thing is there are 3 card supplement packs that come with that are available for the Derelict Ship. So these supplement packs, the first one we have Captain's Log, and this is just going to give you encounter cards specifically for the Derelict Ship. So there's 15 of them in here, and there are the Derelict Ship Artifacts number 1, which gives you 15 additional artifacts that can be mixed in for the Derelict Ship. And then there's a new one that just came out recently, within the past year, called the Cold of Space, and this is going to give you 5 more of the Derelict Ship encounters, 5 Derelict Ship artifacts, and then there's also 5 darkness cards that are specifically themed around the Derelict Ship. So these are available to add variety to the types of encounters that you have. Now, what you encounter, different enemies, there are some enemy packs that really are recommended for the Derelict Ship to really give this particular Otherworld a different feel, as well as like really amplifying the intensity. And then so the first thing, let's talk about some of the ones that could be used in general. So I happen to have one of the sets out, but the Harvesters from Beyond, because they come with the Otherworld threat cards for the Derelict Ship. If you can imagine these things just wandering around this ship, hurtling through space as they're kind of scavenging, looking for whatever in their quest for dark stone or whatever they're looking for. We also have the Tredaran Raiders. They come with the Derelict Ship Other World threat cards, as well as the Shikari Nomad Crusaders. So those three enemy types in particular, they're super, super useful because they can show up pretty much anywhere. And I think there might be some of the newer Tredera enemies that also come with the additional Other World cards. I'm not really sure. They're whatever the new thermoplastic ones are. I haven't really looked into those. But there are two deluxe, or one of them is a deluxe enemy pack and the other one's an extra large enemy that are specifically recommended for the derelict ship. So the first one let's talk about is the Flesh Stalker with the flesh drones. This guy here is nasty. What he does is he likes to go out and has like these fiendish goals to do these terrible, terrible things to people. He comes with a bunch of different sculpts. I happen to have him set up with the mask over his face. There's another one that has a different look. And then there's different things. I have him with his blade in his hand. And then he comes with his flesh drones. There's 6 of those. They have 2 different sculpts. We have this particular one here. If we look at this, let me see if I can get this where you can see it. So he's got a blade, and they just walk around, and they just basically are doing his bidding, and the other ones are here. Now these also can be used in the Cavern of Cinder, torture drones they call them. So they have a variety that they can be used in multiple other worlds as well. But this guy here has his Sinister Deeds that he likes to do, and so that comes with this whole stack of cards too. So you have these tools of terror, and there are different things that can be used. They will decide to use on you. Different things. We have a slave pulse, all sorts of stuff for you to explore. Then we have these fiendish goals, different things that he's going to try to do. And then we have also some derelict ship artifacts that will be able to mix in derelict ship encounters. And then also there's some things for the mine encounters. And then I mentioned to you about the Caverns of Cinder. Here's Otherworld threat cards for that. Here's the Otherworld threat cards for derelict ship. And then regular epic threats, all these other threats that we can have for the flesh drones to show up in. And then there's rules for the sinister experiments, and when you confront him. And then we also have things for the fiendish goals and the tools of terror that he's using. So lots of things to explore in here. These guys are nasty, so don't take them lightly. They have their enemy sheets. Here is the Flesh Stalker. His initiative changes. He has a shadow that shifts around. And then he also has here his Flesh Stalker to hit rolls of 6+ do double damage. So I mean, when he does that, that's he can really wallop you. And then he can also move through other models. So when we talked about those things on the like different levels, he can get up to where you're at. And then we have the flesh drones. Here's the sheets here. And they basically not only do they here they ignore armor. And they have damage value equal to their hit rolls. So they've got vicious weapons, and they can't take more than 3 wounds from a single enemy. So you gotta slow. I mean, they only have 5 health, but it's gonna take you a couple times to take them down with big hits. Otherwise, they just keep coming. So these 2 things, they're fun to add, and like I said, they add variety to not only this one, but also the Caverns of Cinder. But specifically, think about this ship hurtling through space. Here is this guy with his minions just scouring the universe, looking for whatever they can do so that he could play mad scientist on them. So those are kind of fun. And then the other one that we have, and I haven't had a chance to play with this one yet, I got him recently, is this Gastro Tyrant. Now he's one of the Forbidden Fortress enemies, but you can use them in anything. And he just really looks nasty. With the eggs there. And this reminded me of there's an episode of Doctor Who. It's called The Ark in Space. And the creatures obviously they're called like the Weird or something like that. And this, for some reason, this just kind of reminded me of them, although this is a lot more nasty. This is an extra large enemy pack that he comes with. There's like some tokens and these egg things, and comes with a template for his spray. Sprays a toxin out. And let me get his enemy card, because he's got like this paralytic toxin, and if you are already poisoned, you get he can devour you. Basically, he'll have additional combat against you. He can move through other models, and just really, really nasty and quite beefy in terms of their health. So this is not one that you're going to want to use on low-level characters. Same thing with like the flesh stalker and the flesh drones. You probably could mix some of those in with your encounters, but and that's a great thing about Shadows of Brimstone. You can customize the difficulty of the game based upon what you're going to put in. You can essentially seed the enemy decks with what you want and things like that. So if you want to have more difficulty, these are the things that you're going to want to get. And then also with the Gastro Tyrant, it comes with a bunch of Otherworld threat cards, and he's specifically like Belly of the Beast and some of the Forbidden Fortress stuff. But there is one in here for the Derelict Ship, so you can see that right there. And there's one that just goes in the Epic Threat deck. And then one thing I forgot to mention, both with the Flesh Stalkers and with the Flesh Drone and the Gastro Tyrant, is they do come with additional missions. So in the rule book here for the Flesh Stalker and Flesh Drones has all the additional rules, how to really make things work, how this all goes. Talks about his sinister experiments. And then we have this mission 1 is experimentation and what you have to do. And then there is mission number 2. And there is some FAQs, clarifications, painting guide on the back. And then when we look at the Gastro Tyrant, this one also has a mission in there as well, Deadly Harvest. And also talks about the acid spray and how that works. So you have that additional information that's in there. So lots of neat stuff that you can do with the Derelict Ship to change the feeling. Do you want to have it more like encountering these, like have that feeling like aliens, renegade robots, monsters, people, these creatures scouring the galaxy looking for people, or going through the different worlds. And also I like the fact that this really changes the feel of the game. You go from like the Old West, characters are in a mine, all of a sudden they transport into something that's completely science fiction. And so that's one of the things that I love about Shadows of Brimstone, is the creativity of the things that go in there, and then just the endless opportunities to create stories and build a narrative and all these different things that go on with this one. So this is the Derelict Ship, one of the other worlds that is interesting, and look forward to creating some adventure content with this. I have plans to do some stuff with this down the road as I have time. But I wanted to get this stuff out. I've been building on this anticipation for Shadows of Brimstone Adventures to be arriving pretty soon. So when that shows up, I'll have way, way more Shadows of Brimstone stuff than I know what to do with. But in the meantime, if you're new to the game or you're just exploring this particular game, looking for other worlds, things that are out there, hoping that this information is useful. Also, in the comments, let me know, have you played with the Derelict Ship? What are some of the things that you like to add to it? What supplements do you have? What enemy packs are you using? I'd like to hear from you, and so would the community. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you again next time. Bye-bye.